to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian, and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria, the capital city of British Columbia here in West Coast, Canada. I hope everybody is having a great weekend for some of you, and others who are not there yet are looking forward to a fantastic weekend, staying healthy, staying strong. Welcome, Jainil. In this class, we are looking at IELTS Task 1 pie chart, and we're talking about a Band 9 approach, how to do that. Of course, this lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com. For academic IELTS success, visit us there. For the general IELTS, check us out at ieltshelp.com. On both of those websites, we have lots and lots of help for you for your writing, as well as all of the other parts of the IELTS exam. Hi, Saga. Hi, Rashika. This is a members chat class. To become a member, click on the join button next to the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Everybody is welcome to watch. We will have an all chat class coming up in 90 minutes with task 2 writing. So task 1 followed by task 2. It's some great learning. I'll quickly show you our website so you know what you're looking for to get the best online help. This is aehelp.com with the blue background. You can click that big red button to join our premium package. We help thousands of students every day succeed in their IELTS goals, and it is just a one-time payment for lifetime access. We keep it simple. You get apps and lots of goodies. For the general IELTS, same idea, green background. Click that big red button there to join our premium package. Hi, Nico. For me, it is the evening. For you, it is the morning. Morning of Saturday, I'm guessing, right, Nico? For me, it's still the evening of Friday. All right. So if you have questions, we are happy to help. We are an official IELTS test registration center, as well as trained certified British Council agents. And to get help, you can send me an email to adrian@aehelp.com, and I will gladly answer your questions. So we will have more classes tomorrow as well. Speaking Part 2 for members, followed by Speaking Part 3 for everyone. And let's get into this Task 1 writing. Here we go. All right, so you get to your writing section, and you have 1 hour for your writing. 20 minutes of that 1 hour is for your task 1 in the academic IELTS. That's going to be a graph or a chart or a diagram. It could be a map. In general IELTS, it's going to be writing a letter to someone. For that kind of task 1, definitely visit our website, gieltshelp.com. And this one is academic, so keep that in mind. It is an academic question here that we're looking at. First step always is carefully read the question. IELTS Task 1 writing. You should spend about 20 minutes on this task. The charts show the time spent on 2 devices according to various categories. Describe the main features and make comparisons where relevant. Write at least 150 words. Again, for those of you who would like to know how many words you should write, you should write between 180 and 220 words to get a really good band score. Okay. So 150 is the absolute minimum to get task completion, but it is really hard to have a completely comprehensive essay in just 150 words. So try to write a little bit more, try to be a little bit more descriptive, okay? All right. So here are, I should say, the pie charts. And your next step always is to just really carefully look at those pie charts and the information and get an idea of what you need to write about. So start from the top, okay? English language, of course, is top left to right going down. So time spent on smartphones and tablets by category. First pie chart, smartphones. Second pie chart, tablets. Okay, good. We don't need to really get into these too much. We can just see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 categories. For the tablet, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 categories by the look of it. Okay, so 6 or 7 categories depending on the device. And we have a couple of big slices here and some smaller slices. Okay, that's fine. So for your essay, what is your first step? Janiel, Saga, Rashika, Nico, what should you do first? Okay. So first you want to write the introduction. Now this is specifically for IELTS. IELTS has a very specific way of doing this. In university, your introduction, your overview, it's all one idea, but in the IELTS, you can separate them. Okay, so what should you do when you write your introduction? What do you want to pay attention to? What can you tell me about that? Yeah, so Janiel says, write the introduction with great details. Yeah, absolutely, Janiel. So usually when they give you the question is quite vague. Vague means that it's missing a lot of key elements. So here it says the charts. So how can you give more detail here? Instead of just writing the charts, what can you write? So instead of just writing the charts, what can you write? How can you more specifically describe what you see here? Okay, so Saga says the pie charts, and you can be even more specific, Saga. So how can you be even more specific? So I'm just going to go step by step just to really get you thinking in this way when you sit your official IELTS exam. Yeah, very good, Rashika. The 2 pie charts, right? Sometimes you have 3, sometimes you have 4 in the IELTS. Here we have 2, so here we would write the 2 pie charts, okay? So you're adding in these words, making it much more descriptive, and starting your analysis as the introduction. Okay, so the 2 pie charts. Now, with the word show, there are lots and lots of different ways to paraphrase that. So you don't want to write show. You always want to write a different word, so you're picking up lexical resource, such as illustrate. Okay. What are some other ways to write the word show? So illustrate is a paraphrase for show. There's at least 4 or 5 different ways. Okay, Saga says depict. Yeah, it's depict, depicture, right? So depict. Sure. So illustrate, depict, delineate is okay, Janila, as well. Yeah. Okay. Present, represent, indicate. Yeah. Yeah. So good. And there are more. Okay. Prathamesh, welcome back. Awesome. Good to have you on board, back on board. Yeah, so always paraphrase that word, okay? Write it in a different way. I like the word depict. They're quite picture-like, of course. So the 2 pie charts depict. Now here we have the time spent on 2 devices, okay? So the time spent on 2 devices, again, you want to look at the chart, and you notice here that it's not actually hours and minutes, but it's percents. So you want to use that, okay? And in this case, you want to write it. Otherwise, you want to use the symbol, okay? So the 2 pie charts depict the percentage of time spent on smartphones and tablets. Okay. Now, here, so instead of just saying two devices, I actually said smartphones and tablets. Okay, so again, more detail. Now, here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So here we have 6 different categories for smartphones. And here for tablets, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as well by the look of it. Sorry, by the look of it. Okay. So 6 here and 6 here. All right. So we have 6 different categories. So again, we're including that as greater detail. All right. So here it says according to various categories. Now we can be more specific and say as per 6 different categories of software. Okay? Because we're really talking about software or apps in this case. You can use applications or apps as well. I definitely recommend using full words in your introduction. Okay? And you might want to include a few of them. So you might want to do a comma and then go games, news, social networking, and utilities. Okay? So you can do that. Okay? So 6 different categories of software ranging from games to social networking, utilities, and several others. Okay, I probably wouldn't list all 6 of them. We're going to discuss them in the analysis anyway, so there's not really a reason to do this. So now that I've finished the introduction, okay, just a second, I'll get you back here in 2 seconds. What should I do while I get you back on screen here? What should I do once I've finished the introduction? What's my next best step? And I've been teaching this recently, and it's a very effective strategy to save yourself some marks. So what is it that you should do at this point? So you've completed the introduction. What do you do? So Saga says, see the main differences? Not yet. Yeah, we're going to look at the main features in just a moment, but we want to do something just before we look at the main features. What is that? What should we do before we take a glance at the main features? Okay, and you should do this for task 1 and task 2 writing as well. Okay, Saga says the overall info. Check your paragraph. Okay, so what I'm suggesting, because this is a quick and easy way, is check your paragraph for mistakes. So try to catch spelling mistakes, punctuation mistakes, information mistakes, especially. Sometimes, the year will be 2021, and accidentally the student will write 2012. So you quickly catch it and turn it around. Okay, so that's what I want to do. So I want to just quickly read this one more time, make sure that I'm not making any silly little mistakes that are going to cost me marks. So the 2 pie charts depict the percentage of time spent on smartphones and tablets as per 6 different categories of software, ranging from games to social networking, utilities, and several others. Okay, for me that looks good. I'm confident that I don't have mistakes, and now I move on. Okay? All right, so that's my introduction. Now comes the main feature. Okay? Now, don't write main feature. I'm just doing this for the lesson, of course. All right, so you just write the main feature. You leave a space, and then you write the main feature. For the main feature, think about the picture, not so much the information. So focus on the overall picture rather than the detailed information. Okay. So here we're looking at the two pie charts and we're observing the main feature. What do we notice? So what's the most observable main feature here? Okay. And don't just think biggest and smallest. So try to see past just the most common kind of response that somebody might give. Okay. Try to be a little bit more analytical, a little bit more critical. Okay. So of course we can all see that games dominates here as well as here. That's fine. Let's try to see a little bit past the games. Okay. So what else do we notice? Because I definitely noticed something that's a little bit more interesting than just noticing games. Okay. So what else do you see? I'm sure a couple of you will catch this. Look at the big chunks or the big slices of the pizza. What do you, or I should say, look at the size of the slices of the pizzas. Okay. Yeah, so I think a lot of you, this tends to be the case. People just kind of focus in on the biggest slice and then they get lost on that. Okay. Yeah, okay, so Janil, better. So Janil's saying that there's definitely significant variance among the popular categories of applications used on these two devices. Okay, that's true. This is what I notice. We've got big slices and small slices. So does everybody see how here you have three big slices? Here you have three big slices, and then here you kind of have three smaller slices, and again here you have three smaller slices. Can everybody see that? Or am I the only one that's seeing these pie charts in this way? So that's kind of what I noticed that's interesting in the visual data in these graphs, that you've got three giant slices that make up roughly 75% of the entire pie, and then you've got three smaller slices for each one that roughly make up only about a quarter of the pie, right? Yeah, so Prathamesh says yes. So that, I think, is a more interesting main feature than just saying games, and I think if you catch that and write that clearly, you're going to get more points, okay? You're going to come across to the examiners as more of an expert in your writing and in your thinking. Remember, IELTS, especially the academic, it's not just an English test, it's a thinking test as well, right? So the better you think, the better your information, the better your scores, especially if you have clean, accurate writing, okay? All right, so let's describe that as the main feature, okay? Then we can get into the details of games and so on, okay? I'm going to do that and you do that as well. So this is our key feature, okay? All right. You can. All right. So I'll give you another minute to finish your response, and then we'll compare. Okay? All right. So we'll give you a couple more seconds to interpret the information, because that's what you're doing. You're interpreting the information. Okay. So here we go. So this is what I wrote. And then hopefully so you're finishing it up. So remember, you have to be fast in your writing as well. You can't take too long. So at first glance, it is clear that there are 3 categories for each device which make up the bulk of the time spent using them. The remaining 3 categories for either smartphones or tablets account for roughly a quarter of their usage. Okay, so that's that 25% that I was talking about. Now, this overview, okay, is also my thesis statement. Why do I say that? Okay, so why do I say that this is also my thesis statement? What's going to happen here? Okay. Just going to do a quick refresh here because my chat might have frozen here. All right. So Saga says, because half of the categories occupy nearly 75%. Okay, Saga, you have a good idea. You can't start a sentence with because. Okay, Saga, we don't start sentences in English with because. Okay, they're used to join sentences, but otherwise you have the right idea. So half of the categories for each device occupy 75%, and the remaining 3 occupy 25%, roughly. Yeah, you can write that, Saga. That's a good way to do it. Okay. All right. So again, this part here, this overview, this is my thesis because I'm going to now discuss in my analysis the 3 big slices for each. I'm going to compare them. And then, provided I have some time, I'm going to talk about the 3 smaller categories, especially some interesting information there. Okay, so I have my introduction, I have my main feature, and now I'm going to get into my analyses. Okay, it's plural, of course. Don't write analyses. That's just for learning. That's for the class, okay? Just writing that for you. Now, before you write your analyses, indicate your points of comparison so that you can think about them. Never ever, students, never ever start writing and look at the graph and think and write simultaneously. That usually doesn't work out really well at all, okay? So analyze first and then write, okay? So make sure to indicate your points of comparison and then write. Okay. Now, as I discovered doing the computer-based IELTS exam a month ago or so, it's a little bit trickier to do this on the computer-based test because you can't write on the computer screen with your pen or your pencil. So it's kind of hard to figure it out, but there's a note paper in front of you and you can kind of do a couple of quick notes with your pen and paper to help you. So this is where the paper-based exam is a little bit superior to the computer-based exam, because in the paper-based exam, you can actually indicate your points for comparison in your question booklet in the writing section. So that definitely makes the analysis part a little bit easier. So both the computer and the paper-based exams have their advantages and disadvantages. In the analysis part, I would say the paper-based exam is a little bit better than the computer-based exam. It's really too bad that you can't use your mouse to draw on the graph with the time that you have in the computer-based test. Anyway, maybe in future IELTS exams they'll upgrade that. So Janil says, at first glance, it is evident that there is significant variance in these devices categories. In addition, there are 3 categories for both devices that cover the majority of the time spent either on smartphones or tablets. Very nice, Janil. Your writing's really, really coming along nicely. Very good. Great job. Here's a big thumbs up. That's fantastic. Okay, so let's compare. Firstly, we can compare with games, of course. Okay, so it makes sense. What would you say about games? So when we compare games here, what can you say about games? What can you say about games? So again, remember, to get those high band scores, you are interpreting the graph. Okay? So Saga says most popular categories are closely similar except utilities. Meanwhile, others have no differences in both cell phones or tablets. Saga, I think you're trying to say too much too quickly, and it's quite confusing for your audience. So try to be more systematic in your main feature, Saga, and you'll do better. Okay? So don't just write percentages, okay? That's not great interpretation. Honey says the majority chunk of time, the major chunk, okay, good, Honey, the major chunk of time spent on both devices are on gaming. Yeah, spent, S-P-E-N-T for the past participle, Honey, not spend. Okay, that's different. Different word form. It's incorrect. Yeah, so Janelle says a third to more than a half. Yeah, so games for smartphones is roughly a third, and for tablets it's over a half, right? So we can make that comparison because we only have 2 pie charts here. It's good to compare between these 2 devices. It makes sense. We're really comparing smartphones to tablets here, so it's sensible. So that's what we're writing first of all, okay? So first comparison. Now the second point, because we have some more big slices here. So my second point here would be social networking. We can see that, okay? Social networking is 29% and 15%. We'll get to that in just a moment. You should indicate your points at the beginning. So you should do 3 and 3, okay, and 4 and 4, and then these other 2 as your 5th points. Okay, so that's how you kind of want to go through it. Now, some of you might say, well, I want to talk about utilities before I talk about music and videos. That's fine too. You could do that. That's arguable there. But 1 and 2 are very clear. Okay, so we want to write about games first. Let's do that. Then we'll write about social networking. And I'm going to come back to social networking and ask you to interpret that for me a little bit as well. All right, so here we go. Okay. So Okay. So this, I wrote it in greater detail. Gaming makes up about a third of the time people spend on their smartphones, while the same purpose accounts for more than half of people's time on tablets. Okay, so far so good. All right. Now, again, we're reviewing paragraph by paragraph. So I would have reviewed this for mistakes before going on to this. Again, that's just a reminder. It's a really good idea to do that. Okay. So review as you go along. All right. While you're writing, so just go ahead and write, members. I'll check what you write. I'm going to keep going here. And you can also, if you feel like, okay, I've written, or I'm just going to follow with the next question, you can choose. We're going on to social networking here. So social networking is the second point, okay, this big blue slice. It makes sense. We're kind of going around the wheel from these big slices. So what do we notice about social networking on smartphones? So everybody remembers these are smartphone, the first one, then tablets. So when we compare the use of smartphones for social networking versus tablets for social networking, what do we notice? What's the comparison? So what do you catch? Again, it's the interpretation. So writing lots of percentages in your essay is not going to get you the best mark. Okay, you need to interpret. Okay, Rashika says the users of mobile phones spend one of 3 total times on games. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Rashika. Okay, you need to be a little bit clearer there. That's a bit confusing. While tablet users spend over half of the total time on games, more than half actually, Rashika. So be a little bit careful with your interpretation, or a little bit more careful, and also clear, be clear, okay? All right. So social networking. What do we notice about that? I'm kind of stepping out of the camera so you can clearly see the figures, so you can tell me some specific information. Social networking on smartphones is 29%, and on tablets it's 15%. So we can conclude for social networking that Saga says takes 30% of people's time, while tablets spend half of smartphone statistics. Yeah, okay, Saga, not bad. Simplify, okay, simplify. So you have the right idea. You've given me the correct answer. You just need to simplify that. Either use half or use double, but don't overcomplicate it, okay? So here we go. I'm going to write I'm going to write okay. So, however, when it comes to social media apps, smartphone users spend twice as much time with these software than tablet users, at 30% of the total. Okay. All right. So, yeah, but you got it, Saga. So it's double, right? So, however, when it comes to social media apps, smartphone users spend twice as much time with the software than tablet users, at 30% of the total. Now here I join with however because it's the opposite of gaming, right? So tablet users game much more than smartphone users, and for social media apps, smartphone users use them much more than tablet users. So it's kind of the inverse, right? So that's why I'm linking with however. The other word that I could use nicely here is conversely, because it's the converse. It's the opposite of it. Okay, so conversely. All right. So now moving along, utilities. Okay, it's 20% for smartphones and just 3% for tablets. Okay, so here, I'm going to describe this. This is my third point of comparison, and I'm going to write there is, furthermore, there is a significant difference. Furthermore should always be followed by a comma when it opens the sentence. So furthermore, there is a apps between these at 20 and 3% respectively for smartphones versus tablets. Okay. All right. And I'm going to fix this a little bit because I want to keep remembering that we're talking about time here. So furthermore, there's a significant difference in the use of time for utility apps between these two devices at 20 and 3% respectively for smartphones versus tablets. Okay, Saga's asking, what does it mean respectively? Respectively means that the order is the same. So 20% is for smartphones and 3% is for tablets. So because this is first and this is second, respectively tells the reader that because this is first and this is second, that's how they're connected. Okay, does that make sense, Saga? So respectively means in the same order as what we write. Okay, so 20%, 3%, respectively, smartphones, tablets means that 20% is for smartphones, 3% is for tablets. Okay, so you use it in this way. It's often used in describing graphs and charts. Okay. All right. Good question, Saga. A lot of people know that, but a lot of people don't, and it's a very useful piece of information, certainly. Okay, so always ask away. All right, now we go on to the point of comparison, which are music and videos. Okay, so music and videos, I think it's a good one to leave for fourth because it does make up a lot of the time spent on either device. It's a little bit more for tablets than for phones, which is fine. It's not a huge difference, though. It's 8% versus 13%, so not quite double. It's just, I would keep this fairly simple, and all I would write here is conversely, word was there. Okay, this is my typing. So conversely is like however. It kind of means like the inverse in this case. Okay, so conversely, apps for music and I believe it was videos is used 5% more for on tablets, or 5% yeah, more, it's fine, for tablets, especially if I'm running out of time at this point, students. I'm not going to spend too much time getting really fancy. I'm just going to really pay attention to finishing my essay in an accurate way. Okay, so conversely, apps for music videos %. Okay, I'm not going to write the percentage of smartphones because the reader knows that 13% minus 5% is going to be 8% for smartphones. Okay, so don't be wordy. Don't give too much information unnecessarily. Now, at this point, I'm probably getting close to about 180 words or so. So I'm going to go for that band 9, and I'm going to describe these smaller categories as well. Okay, especially this really interesting one, which is news on smartphones and news on tablets. It's kind of the same. Okay, so here we go. So news is, or news apps, or news software, news apps are a small or make up a small proportion. Remember this word when you're writing for pie charts. It's very, very useful. Proportion, meaning the amount from the whole. So this is an extremely useful piece of vocabulary when you're writing for a pie chart. Learn it and use it, okay? So news apps make up a small 4%. Okay. Now notice how here I didn't write smartphones, I didn't write tablets. It's because it's such a small percent that it's not really important. Okay. So I'm not going to go into that much detail. All right. Now other makes up 8%. Again, I'm going to keep this really simple. There's not a lot of point in going into great detail. The remaining percentages all amounts of time are made up by using other various apps. Okay, and that's fine. I'm not even going to go into any more detail on that, okay? All right, now, if I want to get really high and I have a couple of minutes, I'm going to write a summary. So what have we learned about this? Welcome, Victor. Good to have you in the class. So what can we learn by looking at these pie charts? What can we summarize? What do you think, members? So what is the summary that we can? It's not a conclusion. I don't like saying conclusion because you can't assume or infer information that's not there. That's very dangerous to do that. Okay, excuse me. So, what can you learn by looking at this? Okay. What can you summarize about it? And it shouldn't just be a repeat of your introduction or your main feature. Okay, that's not good. So what do we learn by these? Okay. So Saga says the proportion of usage for time between both are quite similar with some characteristic differences. Yeah, absolutely. Janil says most of the time spent on these devices is for entertainment purposes. Very good. Yeah, social networking, games, music, and videos. If we add those up, absolutely, I agree with you, Janil. I think that's a good summary. So we can say that roughly 60%, okay, is spent on entertainment. So, in summary, it can be seen that the majority of time users spend on these devices is for entertainment. Gaming, social networking, and music and video. Okay, absolutely. I think that's a very clever summary, Janelle. Okay, so let's read this and hopefully it makes sense. So we'll go over it, check for any mistakes. Here we go. Read with me, members. Great job today. So the two pie charts depict the percentage of time spent on smartphones and tablets as per 6 different categories of software, ranging from games to social networking, utilities, and several others. At first glance, it is clear that there are 3 categories for each device, which make up the bulk of the time spent using them. The remaining 3 categories for either smartphones or tablets account for roughly a quarter. Okay, this is why we review. Because that's not a quarter of their usage. In greater detail, gaming makes up about a third of the time people spend on their smartphones, while the same purpose accounts for more than half of people's time on tablets. However, when it comes to social media apps, smartphone users spend twice as much time with the software than tablet users, at 30% of the total. Furthermore, there's a significant difference in the use of time for utility apps between these two devices at 20 and 3% respectively for smartphones versus tablets. Conversely, apps for music and videos, let's have correct plural verb agreement here, are used 5 for tablets than smartphones at 13%. News apps make up a small proportion for both devices at just 3 and 4%. The remaining small amounts of time are made up by using other various apps. Okay. In summary, it can be seen that the majority of time users spend on these devices is for entertainment, gaming, social networking, and music and video. Okay, so that looks good. It's probably about 210, 15 words. That would be my guess for the word count. We've completed the essay. It looks fine now. We've made the corrections, and we're now ready to move on to task 2. So we're going to do that coming up in 30 minutes. Members, viewers, we're going to continue with our task 2 question that we started yesterday with the introduction. If you weren't here, no worries. We'll go over the question and the introduction at the beginning of the class, and then we'll do the body paragraphs and the conclusion. For lots more help with your writing, including help with editing and proofreading, visit us at aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gltshelp.com for general IELTS. It's worth joining our premium package there. It's a small amount to pay for a lot of great material, and it's a one-time payment for lifetime access. So check us out, okay? Yeah, you won't lose me, Saga. I'm coming back, okay, in half an hour. So hopefully you'll hang around, take a short break, stretch, grab a glass of water, relax for a bit, and then hopefully see you shortly for task 2, body paragraphs and conclusion. I'm Adrian, signing out for now, for a brief time, from Victoria. See you soon.